global gathering of 192 countries, which each showcase their culture, technology, and food. Expo 2020 has many pavilions, both big and small. Since it is not possible to rank every pavilion in Expo 2020, today I'll be ranking every major pavilion in Expo. So, here we go. The Brunei Pavilion is more or less just screens and some information and is not that important. So, Brunei Pavilion is only if time permits. The Saudi Arabia Pavilion. From the moment you enter, the fun begins. There is a spinning water fountain in the pavilion at the entrance. My favorite was the dome where you learn so much about the country and the landscape of the country. For me, it is one of the best pavilions in Expo 2020. The Japan Pavilion is a big hassle to enter. You need to pre book to enter and then wait in line as well, and the tour is about 60 minutes. In my opinion, wasting an hour in Expo is not worth it, so only if time permits. Luxembourg was a big hit. It was very open and the pavilion was informative and had a slide as well, which made it both fun for adults and children. For me, it is in the must visit category. The Indian Pavilion is a four-story pavilion with a different theme on each floor. The themes range from spices to space to monuments to yoga and to politics. The pavilion is definitely not the best, but in the worth it category. Campus Germany, the best pavilion in Expo by far. As you enter, you are given a name tag which personalizes your journey throughout. As you enter, there's a ball pit, and then further on, each section is filled with interactive ways to learn about the environment. The grand finale with swings is also spectacular and very much worth the wait in the long lines to enter. The UAE Pavilion, shaped like a falcon, closes and opens its wings every 30 minutes. Despite the long queue, in the inside there is sand dunes, interactive screens, and a very interesting show. It ends with an exhibition and is a must visit. The Kazakhstan Pavilion is in the time permits category as the first part of the pavilion is quite boring and long, but the last show is okay. One of my favorite pavilions is Hungary. There's a tremendous amount to do in this pavilion. There's a show in the end where there's a very large ball pit. The entire pavilion is themed around water. It is amazing and a must visit in my opinion. I wasn't too blown away by Spain. There were some great things in the pavilion and the show towards the end is quite nice, but overall it's just about worth it. The UK Pavilion has just one activity and it's just that. No other activity. Don't mind me, but the exterior is really beautiful, but it just missed the mark. Just worth it for me, not something too great. Iraq was pretty nice. I thought it showed a lot of the culture. Even though the pavilion was smaller, it was very informative and unique at best. A must visit, I would say. Now we come to the Swedish Pavilion. It is just a wood forest and that's about it. Nothing too special, but they give a free bottle of water. Since they gave a freebie, if time permits. The Qatar Pavilion in Expo is a very small pavilion. If there is a huge line, then skip it, but otherwise, not a huge amount of things to do in there. So, only if time permits. Now to the first skip of the day, Israel. Not only you have to queue at the pavilion, but also the show is very weird in the end and it has nothing much inside. It is a skip for me. Lebanon is one of the smaller pavilions, but all I remember is that it had some swings in the end and some great exhibitions. So I say it is worth visiting. The Korean Pavilion has the best architecture, I would argue. The spinning cubes are fantastic. The inside, though there's nothing much, it has a great deal to do with artificial intelligence and also a vertical theatre, but definitely not my favorite. So I'll put it in the worth it category. The USA Pavilion was an interesting one to say the least. As you enter, there's a people mover where you stand and it takes you around the entire pavilion. The Statue of Liberty and the space replications were huge and really interesting to look at. It is in the must visit category, definitely. You can also touch a piece from the moon in this pavilion, which was really cool. Colombia was overall a very nice pavilion. Some great things to learn and nicely constructed as well. Great coffee in the end too. So in my opinion, it is worth a visit. The Singapore Pavilion is really green. It has some fun elements and the walk throughout is very scenic and fun. The coffee shop towards the end is also fantastic. Definitely amongst the best. The Swiss Pavilion was really nice. They gave some umbrellas in the start. The queue moves quite quick. The fog machine inside was really nice and it was nice to see the Swiss nature. The Sprungli shop in the end also had some great things to eat. It's definitely a must visit. The Brazil Pavilion is a fun one. Lots to learn and the ground floor with the water is quite nice. Children will enjoy that pavilion a lot. I would say it is a must visit. Kuwait has practically no lines. You can just waltz in and learn so much about the entire country. Inside, there are many things to do. There are 360-degree screens, exhibition on animals, technology, and much more. Just because of the wait time, I would say it is worth it. The Oman Pavilion was one of the most unique ones as it focused upon the sense of smell. The experience was very well curated and the tree in the beginning was fantastic. The people were very hospitable and it is definitely a must visit. The Norway Pavilion left me wanting for more. There was a big wait to get in and the entire pavilion is about fishing and overall it is a little underwhelming. The show is also too long. It is a definite skip for me. The New Zealand Pavilion was nice and easy to get in. The interiors are very nice and the pavilion has a calming feel to it. It also has a waterfall and an interactive screen. It is definitely one of my favorites. The Russia Pavilion has amazing architecture. In the inside, there's a giant brain which opens and closes. I honestly enjoyed it a lot and I would definitely say it's worth it. You can totally skip the Denmark Pavilion. There's nothing much to do and you learn pretty much nothing about the entire country. Not worth it at all. Italian Pavilion is quite nice. Less queues and the inside is pretty well decorated. The 3D places like the Michelangelo's David is brilliant too. The floor is made out of coffee and orange peels as well. Definitely a must visit. Pakistan is up there on the list as it is one of my favorites. You learn a lot about the country. There's a lot of activities such as lasers, drawing screens, and screens showing the country's landscape. It's definitely amongst the best for sure. The Turkmenistan Pavilion is a definite skip for me. You learn nothing about the country, and on the inside, apart from the first room, there's pretty much nothing. The Netherlands Pavilion is one of the most sustainable pavilions at Expo. The entire pavilion is made of wood and in the side is a mushroom farm that can produce water and purify air. A show with the umbrellas was also brilliant, so I would say it's definitely a must visit. A very underrated pavilion, I would say. The Peru Pavilion has so much to show and it does just that. It has a bridge, many screens showing off the landscape and making us feel in Peru, and many national foods on display. They also give an oil native to their country to every visitor. One of the best pavilions by far. Both the Azerbaijan Pavilion and the Uzbekistan Pavilion are quite similar. The architecture of both pavilions are great, but on the inside, both fell short. Only visit if time permits. The Palestine Pavilion offers an innovative way to experience the historic land. With imaginative exhibits which engage all the five senses, the pavilion is great. It is definitely a must visit. Ukraine Pavilion was a letdown for sure. There was not many activity in the pavilion and the exhibits were also very basic. I would definitely say if only visit if time permits. The Portugal Pavilion is great. There are some impressive screens to showcase the country's history and landscapes, and the interactive quizzes and the penguin game were great too. Portugal Pavilion is definitely a must visit. Really enjoyed the French Pavilion. All content and displays were nicely put together. Everything was interesting and pretty classy. Table in the forest was also beautiful with the plates and animated birds. Overall, a great display. It is definitely worth visiting. The Philippines Pavilion at Expo was really good. The country went entirely for an art honor that reflects the coral reefs around their island. The pavilion was very well decorated and it's definitely amongst the best. The Czech Pavilion at Expo is more tech forward. The mirror wall and the snowflake tree are some of its highlights. If you're interested in tech, it is really good, but for me, if only if time permits. The exterior of the Canada Pavilion is quite good. Though it looks bigger from the outside, the inside only has an auditor room which shows a 5-minute video. It is only if time permits. The Austria Pavilion is great. Once you enter, there's an earthy feel to it. It emphasizes on sustainable building and using airflow instead of air conditioners. There are plenty of activities to do in the pavilion, and I would say it is a must visit. Egypt being a culturally rich country, this pavilion had a lot to showcase. I really loved this pavilion because they really showed well what they have and what will they do in the future of Egypt. The displays were really amazing and I would say it is definitely a must visit. The Chile Pavilion has a lot of information, but it falls short on interactivity and architecture. I would only say if time permits. The Indonesian pavilion has great architecture. On the inside, there's not much information, and I don't think so it is worth it. So I would only put it as time permits. The China Pavilion too has great architecture. The China Pavilion on the inside fell short. I don't think so it had much information, but the light and drone show is really great, so I would definitely recommend not to miss it during the night. Australia Pavilion has beautiful architecture. On the inside, there are only two shows, so I would only say it's worth it. Malaysia Pavilion has quite a lot of interesting exhibits. The forest exhibit was really good, and the interactive screens were also really nice. The chandelier and the cube in the end were fantastic. I would say it is worth it. Iron Pavilion was not great. There was not much information, and the show towards the end was also not that great. I would only say if time permits. The Slovenia Pavilion has amazing architecture. I love the building, but on the inside there are only two rooms which have screens all over them. I would say only if time permits. Iran Pavilion is unique to say the least. It consists of several other smaller pavilions showcasing several aspects of their country's culture. I would say it is worth it and it's really good. The Finnish pavilion has quite a unique style of architecture. On the inside, though it fell short, there is not much activity to do. I would say only visit if time permits. The Thai pavilion was great. On the outside, there are many shows happening now and then, and the fountain on the inside, the diamond cube, the exhibits was really good. I would say the Thai pavilion is definitely worth a visit. The Serbia Pavilion has really nice architecture. On the inside, there's a virtual VR museum which was fun. I would say it is definitely worth it. The Belgium Pavilion was also very nice. The escalator to the future was really good. The exhibits made lot of sense, and the screens all over gave a really nice feel. I would say it is a must visit. Expo 2020 is definitely worth it. I have tried to rank as many pavilions as possible, but I have definitely left out quite a few pavilions. I would like to say that all the pavilions have a story to tell. Some have a shorter story, some have a wider story. So I would recommend for you to visit every pavilion and try to visit the smaller pavilions as well, as they have a very beautiful story to say as well. So overall, thank you for watching and have a great day.